everybody, and welcome to my presentations today. My name is Daisy, and I am a marketing officer at TochigiInternational Education Institute, TIEI. Today, I would like to talk to you about the topic, should you study in Japan at this time? I would like to divide my presentation into three main parts. First of all, I would like to talk about the current situation of coronavirus in Japan. And second, I will talk about the current situation of unemployment in Japan, especially about your opportunities for working in tourism industry. And finally, I will tell you about Tochigi International Education Institute and which advantages you can get if you study in our school. So, let's get started. I will share my screen first. Okay. So what is the current situation of corona in Japan now? So you know, in late of this August, the number of corona infected people exceeded around 20,000 in a day, but it's overcome, and currently is about 1,000 people in a day. And you know, I am living in Tochigi Prefecture, and there's only 20 infected people in a day. So the number of corona infected people is decreasing by means of the state of emergency and the vaccinations effect. And until the end of this September, is 69% for the people finished vaccinated for the first time, and 57% of Japanese people, they finished or vaccinated for the second time. And the schedule to finish to vaccinate all the participants by this November. And at this time, the restriction in all Japan are released around this October. So the state of emergency in Japan is also relieved around October 1st. And you know, the state of emergency in Japan is being easier than other countries. And you can see in the future which forming reliefs briefly. First, we can holding a large scale event. For example, the scale of participants for sport or concerts can reach to 5,000 to 10,000 people. And next, in the restaurant, they can provide alcohols. Before they cannot provide alcohols and they have to close before 8, but now it's over and then they can provide alcohols already. Yes, and we can also free to travel in domestic travel. Yes, and you know, the Japanese Prime Minister does announce that the closing border will be open soon. So I think some of you guys are wondering that is it important for vaccination? So until now, the Japanese government, they only require for the negative proof for PCR examinations if the foreigner wants to enter to Japan. But as some study result all over the world about the effect of the vaccines, the vaccines have 90% of preventing the infections of, and then is about 60% for preventing the infection by Delta strain. And furthermore, the vaccines can prevent the further aggravation around 90%. Wow. So if someone is fighting coronavirus, if they are vaccinated already, so the disease will not get worse anymore. So it sounds great, right? So you think is it important or not is up to your decision. Yes, and I want to give you one more example. One cluster occurred in Japan recently, and all of them have been vaccinated, even though many positive confirmed, but no one had any symptoms. And the rate of the number for deaths compared to the infected people is also decreasing. So as you can see on these two of charts here, there are three sections for the peak seasons of increasing the number of corona-infected people in this year. Please look at the third section only. So it can be said that at the third session is the period with the highest number of infected people. But on the other hand, the number of deaths at the third session has decreased markedly compared with previous two periods before. So it can be said that the effectiveness of the vaccines is very significant. So are you agree with me? And so in the future, how can we deal with the study abroad in the corona periods? Of course, the risk of corona infections never disappear. Yes, maybe it will take a long time in the future. So the possibility of corona cluster will occur at your school or your part-time job place or anywhere you go. So you have to follow correctly to the infection prevention measure. For example, these infections, wearing a mask, taking a distance, and it's better for you to avoid the big cities. Why I said that? Because you know the number of corona-infected people in the end of the September in Tokyo is around 375,000 people. But in Tochigi, it's only 15,000 people. So the corona-infected people in Tokyo compared with Tochigi is around 25 times. So it's a very big amount. So please try to protect yourself by follow to the infection prevention measure and as I recommend. And so that's covering everything I want to say about the current situation of corona in Japan. And I will continuing with other. So now let's move to my next part. The current situation of unemployment in Japan, especially about your opportunity for working in tourism industry. So please take a look at this chart. So referring to the chart here, there are some current problems with the Japan populations. So you can see about the declining of the birth rate, and is also increasing about of aging populations, and for the net population is also decreasing. So because of the aging populations, only a half of the population will be able to work over 40 years until 2065. So I would like to emphasize that you have a chance to work in Japan in the future. We sure. And I would like to compare some opportunities if you choose to study in other popular countries and you want to work there. So how's your opportunities? For example, in America or Canada, mostly they authorize for all their citizens. And for example, in Korea, the ordinary unemployment rate of the young people is high. And for example, in China, you know the university rate have difficulty in finding jobs currently. And for example, in Australia, they require for the certificate if you want to work. And in the United Kingdom, after they exit from the EU, they priority for their own citizens. So to compare with other countries, Japan needs the foreign employees to cover for their shortage of employees. So what kind of jobs you can do here? So please take a look at this chart here. You can see that the Japanese government, they protect for the tourism. So the best thing I want to tell you here is because of the COVID-19 in this present, we still realize that too many influence on the economy, especially the tourism industry. So you can see in the chart that the international travelers aren't increasing at all. But the number of Japanese travelers in 2020 they compare with 2019 are being normalized. So let me expand this point. So what's going on? Because you know, from 2020 July to 2020 December, a go-to travel campaign was held already. Why? Why the Japanese government that wants to hold this campaign? Because you know, the tourism industry, it has many effects to other industries such as transportation, hotel, restaurant, manufacturing, and others. So the Japanese government wants the subsidies to encourage domestic travel because they want to have to boost the economies. So during this campaign, all the travelers will receive around 50% of the cost of their trip, and which goes on the holding not only for this campaign, it's not only holding for the corona period, but also after the corona period, the Japanese government, they will certainly put the efforts to the tourism industry, especially we are sure that this go-to travel campaign will restart in 2022. And referring to the next chart is about the number of international travelers visiting Japan. So you can see over 10 years, the foreign tourists to Japan on the rise, and the number of increasing about 5 times, and it will be increased more in the future as well. So therefore, the Japan's always want to hire an international employees who can speak not only Japanese, but also English and of course your country language. So it's helpful for your jobs. So if you want to study and work in Japan, this is a chance for you. And according to some Japanese experts, the influence on COVID-19 will be recovered by 2022 July in the forecast. And you can see that they say that recover of periods of the international traveler come Japan is about 2024 January. Yeah. Yes. So from the beginning until now, I have 3 things need you to remember. First, and I said at the beginning, the vaccinations will finish this year and the closing border will be open soon. Second, the working population is decreasing and the Japanese government, they focus on protecting their tourism industry, and the go-to travel campaigns will restart for the next 2022 years. So now is your opportunities. So I think you guys understand about the overview of the Japan situation now. So what do you have to do to catch your dream for the next step? So of course, that's very simple. So please come to TIEI and we can have to shape your dream. Study at our school so you can get a Japanese communication skill in only 1 year. And then you can get a hotel or ryokan job. And of course, you can get a hotel system skill. Why I can say that? Because in TIEI, we provide 1 year jobs preparation course only. And 70% of the curriculum is conversation class. So you can improve your speaking skill fast. And we also support our students into job hunting activities. And you can learn about some knowledge about the hotel system class. And you can also join into our internship program. So I would like to talk to you in details for the 1 year job preparation course. So although TIEI has only 1 year course, but the student can find a full-time job after graduation. So to compare with other Japanese school, you have to learn 1 year, 3 months, 1 year, 9 months, or 2 years. And then after you graduate from the Japanese language school, you have to continue to study in a college or a university for at least 2 years or as much as 4 years, and then you can have it's like a lot of enough of Japanese, and then you can find a job. But in our school, in TochigiInternational Education Institute, you just take only 1 year, and after graduation of our school, you can get a job in Japan. So it's very good way for you to save your time in your course. And in our program, we also specialize in the job hunting activities. So our school will have assisting the student into finding a full-time jobs in Japan by providing a lot of seminars and activities in preparation for jobs interviews. So you can learn about the business manner and how to work in a Japanese company. And we also have the students to realize themselves and how can they match with the Japanese working style. And then the student can also learning about the hotel system. So I can say that all over the world, for the Japanese language school, they totally do not have the hotel system lessons. They are only the school which have the especially hotel major, for example, the college or the university. So they will teach this. But in our school, the Japanese language school, but we provide the hotel system knowledge for all the students. We will teach the student how to do booking systems such as manage reservation, confirm check-in, check-out, confirm payment, revision, or cancellations in the real system, which is using in Japan now. And after graduations, the TIEI students can be proud of themselves about their knowledge, and this also your best advantage to compare with other students from other school. Also, the Japanese student, you can be proud of about yourself. Yes, and of course, you can have an opportunity to join our internship program in some different hotels across Japan. Through these trainings, students will be able to taste and experience the life of a working person in a hotel or ryokan in Japan. And then, although there is no salary, but the student can have an opportunity to get hired by the same hotel they had the internship with. So there's 70% of our students that can receive a job offer after the internship. So for established until now, over 90% of our graduated students, they have got their full-time job after graduation. So you know, for the last year, 2020, our graduated students, 100%, all of them can get the job after graduation. So, furthermore, finally, I think all of you guys are a little bit worried about the school fee, right? So you can see here on the screen, the total school expense for 1 year is about, so the total school expense for 1 year is around 792,000 Japanese yen. If you cannot pay it for 1 year, you can pay installment 2 times for each 6 months. For the first time, it's around 415,000, and for the second time, it's around 374,000 Japanese yen. And we also provide the dormitory near the school for all the students. So we have 2 types of dormitory. First is TIEI dormitory and then Central Heights dormitories. So the rent fee for each month is 32,000 Japanese yen. So for this rent fee is also included for the utilities, for example, electricity bill, water bills, gas bill, and Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. So for each month, you do not need to pay any fee more, only rent fee. When you come here, from the 7th month, you can pay the rent fee for each month. So before you come to Japan, you have to pay for the 6 months of the rent fee and the tuition fee. Yes. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. So we look at 3 main points. First, I show you about the current situation of coronavirus in Japan, and the corona vaccinated will finish by this November. And second, we look at about the current situation of unemployment in Japan, and the number of working people is decreasing, and the Japanese government, they are focused on protecting the tourism industry, and of course the Go to Travel campaigns will restart in 2022. And finally, I explained about our school, TochigiInternational Education Institute, so you can get a lot of advantage and reach your dream as fast as possible if you join our school program. So to conclude, I would like to say the current situation coming to intern Japan and study at our school, and after graduate, there are many chances for you to get a job, especially tourism industry in Japan. So don't miss your change anymore because of your hesitance. Okay. Thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. Thank you so much for your listening.